Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Hong Kong Horror. I hope you're all doing well and staying safe this Hungry Ghost Month. Tonight, I have a story for you all that's on the darker side. It was actually a pretty famous one that garnered a ton of attention on online forums back in 2007. So, some of you might have heard a version of this before, but I think that many of you here in the West have not. As always, please stick around until after the story, as I'll be breaking everything down from a Chinese cultural perspective and sharing my own personal opinions about what I think happened here. I'll leave timestamps in the description below for those of you who just want to hear the story and not my analysis. Some of the themes in the story will be on the darker side, where self-harm is present, so please, viewers' discretion is advised. Alright, without further ado, let's turn on the lights, get comfortable, and let's dive right into this one. The story was shared by a man. Let's call him Jacky. And this whole incident took place back in 2007 in Shenzhen, China. At the time, full of ambition, Jacky and two of his co-workers from a large tech company decided to quit their jobs. They were all software engineers. They worked with each other for years and were extremely close. Despite putting in so much time and effort as employees, the company they were working for was not doing too well, so they all have not received raises or a bonus in a long time. They decided that it was time to leave, set out on their own, and start their own thing. The three of them decided to start a tech company of their own. Jacky and his two friends, Henry and Mina, had big dreams. The three of them pulled together some savings and set out on their entrepreneurship journey together. They were scared, but at the same time, they were very excited. As Jacky and his friends saw it, this was their only way out of the rat race toward financial freedom. It was now or never. So, they took the leap together. The first thing they did was look for an office space. Henry found a place in a very nice high-end commercial building. This office was going to be the face of their company when they met with clients, so they couldn't cheap out. First impressions were everything. Jacky remembers it clearly. The office that was available for rent was on the 17th floor, 1714 to be exact. Jacky and his two business partners went to view the space on a random weekday with an agent. The building itself was beautiful, honestly. It was fairly new, and everything was very modern. The building was about 20 floors high, and each floor was subdivided into separate units which were all rented out to different types of businesses. So the building had a ton of different types of companies across different floors, ranging from restaurants to insurance companies to clothing shops. Anything you could think of, they had it. Jacky and his partners really loved what they saw so far. The location was ideal, and there was a ton of foot traffic. The three of them took the elevator up to the 17th floor. The building was a cylinder shape, where all of the units were on the exterior of the circle, and the elevators were in the center. After exiting the elevator, they turned right to go to unit 1714. Even though the building was a ring shape, the shops didn't go fully around. At one point, it just ends, and there was a wall and a dead space that was used for the emergency exit, if that makes sense. And unit 1714 was right next to this emergency exit, so it was pretty much the last unit on the floor of the ring. The unit was empty, and the lights were off. Directly to the right of the unit was a warmly lit facial salon. As soon as Jacky and his friends walked into 1714, he remembers a very strange sensation. The only way he could describe it would be cold, but not the type of cold you feel in winter. It was more like a strange type of chill, where you feel cold from the inside out. He got goosebumps. It was an extremely strange sensation he hasn't felt before or since. It wasn't like the cold you feel from a regular AC. It was damp, chilling. The group turned the lights on and walked around the space, discussing where they could put some furniture. It was a nice spacious unit, and it had a ton of potential. They really liked it a lot. While Jacky's partners checked out the back office, he stepped out to walk around the rest of the floor to see what other types of businesses they'll be sharing the floor with. He popped next door into the facial salon to say hi to the neighbors, to introduce themselves and to chit-chat for a bit. The facial salon manager was a stout, middle-aged woman named Meiwa. She was in her late 40s, and she was a fun lady. Jacky could tell instantly that she loved to talk. She greeted Jacky with a huge smile and chatted happily with him. He told Meiwa that they would be neighbors soon. When she heard this, her face instantly dropped. 1714? She asked. All the beauticians working under Meiwa suddenly froze and looked up at Jacky. Thinking back now, that should have been the first red flag. Meiwa gave an awkward smile, then ended the conversation abruptly and said that she had to get back to work. Jacky said his goodbyes and left her unit, confused. He noticed that his two partners were now outside in the hall, finalizing the rental details with the agent. Jacky strolled over to join them, as Henry was in the process of signing the paperwork. Jacky noticed that someone else had stopped by to oversee the signing of the lease. It was the manager of the building, Mr. Lau. He was a man in his 50s. He wore a plain white t-shirt and khaki pants with a thick gold chain around his neck. To be honest, Jacky's first impression of Mr. Lau was that he was a hamsaplo. This is a Cantonese term which directly translates to perverted. He kept looking at Mina up and down. The direct translation is funny. Hamsup directly translates to salty and wet, and lo translates to guy. It pretty much means a creep. But yeah, that was the impression that Jacky had of Mr. Lau, as he seemed shifty and strange. So as Henry was busy finalizing the lease, Mina, feeling a bit uncomfortable with how Mr. Lau was looking at her, went back to peer into Unit 1714 again. That's when suddenly she let out a blood-curdling scream. Everyone looked up, startled. Jacky rushed over to see what the heck happened. Did she hurt herself or something? Mina was pale and staring wide-eyed at the dark glass door of the unit they had just finalized the paperwork for. After they calmed her down a bit, she trembled and said, "This is gonna sound crazy, but I swear, I literally just saw a woman standing in there in the dark. I swear, I'm not joking, guys." Henry didn't believe her. He opened the front door and turned the lights on again in the unit and checked the whole unit himself, every single room. It was totally empty. There was absolutely nobody in there. He told her she was just seeing things. Mina looked around herself, still scared. But what else can she say? Maybe she was really just seeing things. Maybe it was a reflection of someone walking around outside and she got confused. Despite this eerie start, the three friends officially opened their company a few weeks later after everything was set up. All the furniture had arrived and they were ready to start working to make the big bucks. But soon, strange things started happening. They noticed that everyone on the floor strictly left to work at 8 p.m. There were about 10 units on each floor, and none of them would ever work past 8 p.m. every single night. They would always leave work in groups. Jacky found this extremely strange. That won't be the case for him. In order to get ahead, he planned to work late. One night, Jacky was working late by himself. His partners had gone home for the night, but Jacky wanted to wrap a few things up. It was about 11:30 p.m. that night when he was finally finishing up. On his way out of the office, he turned off the lights, plunging the office into darkness. Just as he was about to walk out the front door, he realized that he forgot his wallet on his desk. Too lazy to turn the lights back on, he figured he would just walk over quickly, in the dark, back to his desk, grab it, and then come right back out. He did this, but then, on his walk back to the entrance, something really strange happened. Jacky felt himself walking in the dark for over a minute, but he still hadn't reached the door. What the heck? He thought. He kept walking and put his hands out in front of him in the dark to feel for the door. He should have reached it by now. There's no way. The walk's not this far. He kept walking, when all of a sudden, he heard something. It sounded like footsteps behind him. Someone wearing high-heel shoes, walking right behind him, following him. Jacky stopped walking. The click, clack, click, clack of the high-heel footsteps behind him kept coming, closer and closer. Just as the footsteps sounded like they were right behind him, Jacky spun around, pulled out his phone, and tapped it, using the phone's dim screen light to see what was going on. There was nobody there, but to his shock, he realized he hadn't actually walked anywhere at all. He was still standing at his desk, where he first started, facing the wall. Terrified now, Jacky ran toward the entrance with his phone still lit up and turned the lights back on. The lights flickered back to life. Jacky scanned the unit on high alert, but everything looked normal. There was nobody there. He quickly snapped the lights back off and ran out of that unit. The strange events didn't stop. They continued to escalate, and Jacky wasn't the only one who experienced it. A few days later, Mina experienced something again. Each of them had their own private office. On this particular day, it was slow and there were no clients expected to visit. Mina had a couch in her office. Since she didn't have much going on today, she decided to take a little power nap on her couch, which sits right behind her work desk. As she was drifting in and out of sleep, she saw something that terrified her. Mina was in a state where she wasn't fully awake, but not fully asleep either. You know when your body is fully asleep, but you're still conscious, and you know what's going on around you? Well, Mina was in this state. Sleep paralysis. Her body was fully asleep, but her mind wasn't. She was trying hard to get her body to wake up, but that's when she saw something. Her office chair in front of her desk. Someone was sitting in it. At first, Mina couldn't see who it was, as she just saw the back of the chair and the head of the person sitting there popping over the top. Mina could see that it was a woman though, because she had long hair. Terrified, Mina tried her very best to get her body to respond and to move. But no luck. She was totally paralyzed. And that's when the chair started to slowly spin around. Mina didn't want to see this, but she had no choice. She couldn't move at all. She was powerless and was forced to watch. As the chair slowly spun, the person sitting in it slowly came into view. It was an extremely pale woman with long, tangled black hair. Her skin looked discolored and blotchy. Her clothes were filthy, as if someone had spilled something all over her and dried into a brownish black color. This woman had both her hands on the handrest of the chair as she looked straight at Mina with an unnatural smile spread across her face. Her eyes, that's what Mina remembers the most. Her eyes were not like any eyes she's ever seen before. The pupils were extremely black and large, emotionless and empty. Mina, panicking now, wanted to scream, but no sound came out. She struggled with everything she had to try to get her body to respond, with no luck. That's when this terrifying woman slowly stood up, staring at Mina with those unblinking eyes and terrifying smile. Slowly, she stood up from the chair, and then she just stood there, rigidly, extremely still, before finally speaking. Just one sentence. "The truth. Help me. The truth." As she slowly reached her hand out and pointed to the corner of the office. Then, without warning, she rushed over, straight at Mina's face, at an impossible speed. Mina braced herself for impact, but it never came. All of a sudden, Mina was fully awake now. She regained full control of her body once again, as she shot up from the couch, drenched in cold sweat, gasping for air. The room was empty. No one was sitting in her chair. Was it all just a nightmare? No, it can't be. If it was a nightmare, it was the most vivid one she's ever had in her life. Also, her chair. When she initially laid down for her nap, she remembers very clearly she tucked her chair under her desk. She's always been a very tidy person, so she always slides the chair under her desk whenever she's done with it. But on this particular day, after this incident, the chair was fully out, fully facing the couch. Mina told Jacky and Henry about this. Something wasn't quite right, and it seemed to be getting worse. The only person that had not experienced anything yet was Henry. The three of them soon held a meeting about the incident. Jacky suggested that they should look into what happened in 1714. A few nights later, Jacky had an idea. He got some luxury fruits and little gifts and waited until Meiwa, the facial salon manager next door, was closing up to go home. When Jacky saw her come out to lock up, he came out too and acted like he bumped into her by coincidence and that he just happened to be going home as well. He then gave her the gifts, saying that he never properly thanked her for her warm welcome to the building. Jacky was obviously trying to butter her up. He knew she knew something about the history of the unit, but she was hesitant to say anything. Well, it worked. Meiwa was ecstatic with the gifts and couldn't stop smiling and thanking Jacky. They headed down the elevator together, chatting away. That's when Jacky asked her about Unit 1714 and what she knew about its history. At first, Meiwa went silent. Then, after a few seconds, she sighed and finally spilled the beans. She lowered her voice, even though it was just the two of them in the elevator. "Why, young man, I don't like talking about it, but since it's you, I'll tell you. Don't go around telling people, okay? But there's a local rumor about your unit that the manager of this building, Mr. Lau, told us. Before you guys rented it out, 1714 used to be a massage company. The owner was a man in his 40s, and he and his wife owned the company. Eventually, the husband cheated on his wife in the unit with one of the young female masseuses. It wasn't just a one-time thing. They did naughty things many times, and eventually, the wife found out. One night, unable to bear the humiliation, the wife went into the unit, into one of the rooms where her husband had relationships with the woman, and ended her own life in there. A few days after that, the husband went missing as well. Nobody knows what happened to him. Ever since, it's been severely haunted. Not everybody believes in ghosts, but it's true. The haunting spilled over into our own unit at times. Before your arrival, some of our employees have seen the wife wandering around the hallway. Sometimes, we would hear high heels walking in that unit. It was always at night though, so to avoid this, many of us on the floor try not to stay too late. Honestly, by now, Jacky and his partners were already planning to break their lease. Not because of the hauntings, but because their company was not doing too well. They were bleeding money every month, and they wouldn't be able to sustain this for much longer. A few days later, Henry brought his toddler son to the office. It was another slow day. The kid was running around by himself, keeping himself entertained, but eventually he kept running into Mina's office and kept pointing to an empty corner, saying there was an auntie standing there. Henry played along with his son, saying things like, "Oh yeah, buddy? What's she saying?" Just playing along, but not actually really believing him. That's when the boy said and did something that shook everyone to their core. The boy jumped in joy and ran over to the corner of Mina's office and reached his little hands under the built-in metal display rack and was trying to pull something out. The auntie said, "There's a treasure behind here," the boy said. Henry looked up and scolded his son. "Hey, buddy, come on, get out of there. It's so dirty back there, come on." Henry got up from the couch, ready to grab his son, when to everyone's surprise, the boy actually pulled something out from under the shelf. It looked like a USB drive. Henry took the dusty USB drive from his son's little hands. It seemed as if someone had hidden it back there on purpose. They were all shocked. How did this kid know this was back there? They plugged the USB in. It only had one file on it. It was a recording from a hidden camera. The video popped up. It was blurry, shot from a low angle, like a hidden camera. The video showed a female employee of the massage parlor. Suddenly, a man entered and sexually assaulted her. She fought back desperately, but was overpowered. The man in the video was Mr. Lau, the building manager. Henry and his partners were stunned. The whole rumor that Mr. Lau spread about the husband cheating on his wife at the massage parlor was all a lie. Henry reached out to some of his connections to investigate. The truth finally came to light. The official rumor about the cheating boss and suicidal wife was a complete fabrication created by Mr. Lau to keep the truth hidden. The truth was that the husband, the owner of the massage parlor, the original tenants of 1714, secretly installed a hidden camera and recorded Mr. Lau's crime. His wife must have told him what was going on, but he needed evidence. The husband tried to confront Mr. Lau, but Mr. Lau had mob connections. The traumatized wife couldn't bear the humiliation and ended herself. Shortly after, the husband, who tried to confront and report Mr. Lau, died in a mysterious car crash. Henry handed the hard drive over to the police. Mr. Lau was arrested and sent to prison. After that, the hauntings in 1714 completely stopped. Jacky and his partners didn't stay too much longer afterwards though, since their company went bankrupt. There's an old saying in Cantonese that goes along the lines of 平生不做虧心事，半夜不怕鬼敲門. This literally means, if you've done nothing shameful in your life, you don't have to fear ghosts knocking on your door at midnight. Sometimes, the truly terrifying things in this world are not the ghosts, but the monsters hiding among the living. So, heavy story tonight, right? Alright, so what do you all think happened in this one? Please, pause the video here and let me know in the comments below. Okay, so what do I think happened here in Jacky's experience? What's especially interesting to me is that the ghost does not behave like a conventional, malicious spirit. Almost everything it does points toward the idea of something we call Yunwan, which is a soul with an unresolved grievance. And the haunting appears to be driven by what we call in Cantonese Yunhei, an unfulfilled need for the truth to be revealed. The spirit isn't evil. I don't think that this woman is haunting Unit 1714 because she's evil. She's there because she died unjustly, under circumstances that were concealed, and the truth surrounding her death was never properly revealed. In my culture, a person who dies violently, suddenly, unjustly, or with enormous emotional anguish can become a yunwan, which means literally a wronged or aggrieved soul. There's a closely related concept of yunhei, the emotional and spiritual residue generated by extreme resentment, humiliation, grief, anger, or injustice. And this woman's circumstances are almost a textbook example. She didn't just die, she was humiliated, frightened, and trapped in a situation involving a powerful person who could potentially harm her and her husband. Then, she died in the very location associated with the crime. This is an extremely powerful recipe for a haunting. Chinese ghost traditions frequently associate spirits with places where an intense death occurred, particularly when the deceased has some unresolved attachment to that location. It's not necessarily that she died there, therefore she automatically haunts that location. It's more that something happened there that she can't let go of. The location becomes saturated with emotional circumstances surrounding the death. We describe this in Cantonese as yunhei zhuizap, which means the accumulation or concentration of grievance-related energy. The woman isn't just dead. Her cause of death has been deliberately falsified. Her and her husband's reputation have effectively been destroyed after death. Instead of being remembered as a victim, she was transformed into the broken wife whose husband cheated on her. That's a profound injustice. And Chinese ghost stories very often revolve around the idea that a dead person's grievance persists because the truth has not been acknowledged. The dead person cannot rest because the living have constructed a false version of what happened. I don't believe this dead woman is asking for revenge. She's asking for justice, for her truth to be heard. She wants vindication and a clearing of a wrongful grievance, the truth. Now, it's no surprise to me that Henry's toddler son was able to see the spirit clearly. Children in Chinese ghost folklore are often portrayed as being more spiritually receptive. What's also interesting to me is that the little boy doesn't behave as though he's encountering a terrifying demon. He behaves as though he's talking to a regular auntie. He's not scared of her. To him, the spirit wasn't a scary monster, but just a regular woman standing there. The frightening appearance is primarily experienced by Mina. There's a common theme in Chinese supernatural stories. The innocent child perceives the supernatural world differently from adults. The child doesn't understand that this auntie is dead. He simply interprets her as another person. I also wanted to touch on Mina's experience when she saw this woman sitting in her chair. Someone experiencing sleep paralysis might historically interpret the experience as being guizap, ghost pressing down on the bed. The underlying idea is that a spirit or yin entity is interfering with a person's body while their consciousness remains awake. I don't think she was intentionally trying to scare Mina, but she was growing frustrated that Mina was not fully understanding the underlying message that she was trying to communicate. This woman isn't actually targeting the three entrepreneurs. She was just trying to get their attention, for them to dig deeper. Jacky, Mina, and Henry haven't done anything wrong. They're essentially innocent people who moved into the wrong place. Thank you, Hong Kong Horror family, for making it all the way to the end of this week's video. This story tonight was on the darker side, but I hope you all still enjoyed it. Until we speak again next week, stay safe and good night everyone.